Good morning. It is morning. Actually, morning coffee with George, reviving an old show name. It is June 18th, 8:12 in the morning. Welcome to the stream. This is the Scorpion shirt edition. Oh, probably should get chat up. Give me 1 second. Oh, we're supposed to start with music too. I guess I didn't. Guys, I'm not used to this. I haven't done this in a while. Okay, docs, chat, which there should be none this early. Oh, wow. Nope. I take that. Man, Violet is quick. Quick draw McGraw. Oh, no, my other monitor's missed. My monitor's dead. Hang on. Down here somewhere. I'm not sure what's happening. This other monitor is dead. Come on now. Can't see chat with this other monitor, guys. Everything's set up for this. No, what's happening? Oh. Power is completely missing here. I'll just pull it from here. Maybe this will work. There's no power on this thing. My power. Oh, come on. Please work. Yes. All right. We're back. Put this down here. Where's my... Oh, it disappeared. Disappeared again. Maybe that wasn't enough power. Oh, Jesus. Hang on, guys. I do not know where that power was originally coming from. Is it that? Maybe I can use this. Oh, wait, I know where it was coming from. Hang on. Oh, it's hanging off precariously. I got it. Okay, let's put this power back on. Okay. These little USB monitors. Okay, come on. Come on, baby. No? No power? What? How about here? Oh, this thing is so loose. There we go. Maybe that was the problem. Okay. Now where'd the chat window go? This is a... Hang on, the chat window's missing now. Oh, there it is. And put this up here. Oh, no, come on. It's a good start to a stream here. Okay. All right. There we go. All right. Hang on. All right. We are ready to go. Woo! Now that we're here on Polyglot George, we're a little bit more free with our discussion. We don't want to destroy the Japanese from Zero channel. All right, dude, that's a 6 shirt. Well, thank you very much. This was a 100% impulse buy. It's I will have you know, it's high quality, 100% polyester. You could never, you know. But I gotta say, for all of the hate polyester gets, this is an awesome, like, stretchy shirt, and I like the stretchiness of this shirt. You're gonna have to excuse my nipple exposed here. I'm a little bit cold, or I'm excited, one of the two. I'm wearing the wrong glasses this morning. These are my old emergency glasses that I have on my bed. The thing behind my bed where I reach in the morning to grab my glasses. I accidentally grabbed these, it looks like. They still work, but I like my round glasses now that I got from Korea. I noticed that Glaceon Ice is in the room, and I just saw his name. And I'm going to say, if I see the word, if any word starting with a C and having followed by Actus, I'm not going to be reading it. And I will then ban you from the stream. All right. Scorpions are found in the desert. Thank you. Good information. You're hereby banned. You're banned from the stream. All right. I did read it. Shut up, please. Yeah. All right, listen. I learned something new about my body this morning. So I have this problem in my left ankle, just like this pain that's kind of there. It's weird to say it's a pain and then to follow it up by saying it doesn't really hurt, but it's there. It's like a bruise, you know? It doesn't hurt, but you push it and you feel it, right? And I wondered what it was. I wondered what it was. So I asked ChatGPT, and it's plantar fasciitis, I think is how it's said. And so I've confirmed that's pretty much what it is by going to the doctor, ChatGPT doctor. And then I remembered my daughter has the same problem, and I called her up and I said, hey, just so you know, seems like I got the same thing on my left foot. She's like, oh no, you can just stretch that. That's just like a tight calf muscle. I was like, but my calf muscles aren't tight. And I was like touching my calf muscle, and it wasn't tight, you know? And then this morning when I woke up, because that's when my fasciitis or whatever it's called is the worst, I did a bunch of stretches in bed, and oh my God, she was right. So if you have that pain, like right around the heel of your foot, it could be plantar fasciitis, or I think that's what it's called, or fascia or whatever. Just stretch. Like 80% of the pain's gone. I have a hard time even believing there's none of the pain there. It's kind of like phantom pain is sitting there now. Fire breath moonbeam. No, that was a joke. I definitely was joking. I wouldn't ban a cactus, brethren. There you go. Look at this. But yes, you are still here. That is a very noteworthy event in my life to realize you're still here. I'm very happy about that. But yes, I was joking. Yeah, so anyway, I bought this shirt. I clicked a link, a random link, a banner ad, and I bought 4 or 5, no, 3, maybe 3 shirts just like this. One of them has already been stolen by my daughter, so I don't have access to it. ADHD Violet with I'm not gonna say passive aggressive. I'm not gonna say, oh my God, I told you so. Why are you being like this? But she says, it's not like your best friend telling you maybe you should stretch and you saying I never stretch. I think I use stronger words than I never stretch, but it's true. Today was the first day I realized because I did when I got up and I stood up, I was like, oh, maybe stretching is important. Maybe stretching is important. It could be a thing I should consider in the future. And this is a fact that I completely all by myself discovered. No one helped me. 100% my own genius intellect discovered through research and testing. Who knew it? Who knew it, people? Stretching is important. Who knew it? Who knew it? Nobody's ever said this word. Nobody's ever said stretching. Nobody. Hang on. I gotta fix this camera, which isn't working. You never know when you're gonna need a side cam. Oh, hang on. Fasciitis. Thank you. Violet is an ally. They called George on stream for me this one time. She's not a they. She's a she. Hey, it's like, oh, I just read that. Come on, guys, we need more comments. I already read the same one twice. Okay. So anyway, I yesterday was Wednesday, which is Goodwill's 40% off day, which means me and my wife, without any thought, just buy whatever we think is cool. So I bought a bunch of books yesterday, not to read, because I'm not looking to read them. I'm looking to study them. So I have a novel that I'm writing. I don't have a copy of it. I sent 2 copies to Violet, and I gave another copy to my friend Kathy. I don't know where the other one went. It's MIA. But and we're getting near the end, and as I'm writing, the final draft, I'm like, you start doubting, like, are these sentences too long? Like, oh my gosh, like, what's the standard? Because I read a lot of audio. I read a lot of books in the past, but I don't remember. I read entire series of books in the past, and then but recently it's been all like audiobooks, right? So far yesterday, I read the beginning of this book, which is apparently someone else has continued the girl with a tattoo, whatever, on the train, dragon tattoo girl. This guy has continued the Stieg Larsson's Millennial series. This I thought was pretty good writing. This, I don't know. It seems dubious, honestly. Isaac Asimov, I don't know. It felt like not my style. This I thought was pretty good. But the one writing that I felt most in tune with, although this is going to sound like I'm putting myself on the same pedestal with them, I am not. No. But Stephen King, his sentence structure, I love. And I'm not exactly his sentence structure, but I felt like, okay. But so far with these 4 books, I've realized it's okay to have long sentences cut up by commas, longer than you would normally use, probably. So here, this is what I'm going to read a little bit of James Patterson Triple Cross. Now, apparently this is like maybe the 3rd in the series. So I'm just going to see how we feel at the beginning of this book here. Let's see. Xian Lu lived for days like this. Days when her world seemed like a great game, and the sweet smell of opportunity and cash hung in the air like lavender and sage. I think the first line of the book is always interesting to me. In her late 30s, stylishly dressed, attractive, and very tall, Liu arrived at work in Lower Manhattan 2 hours before her crucial first appointment. She opened the door to a corner office with dramatic views of the Hudson River, stepped inside, shut the door, and paused a moment to take it all in. On the inner wall to Liu's left hung her diploma from Yale and a photograph of herself playing Lady Macbeth in her first and only year in the graduate program at that university's fabled drama school. She did not give them a glance. Wow. First of all, wow. That seems... when I did all of my like studying, right? Like my studying phase of like, how do I even finish a novel? Like, how do you write a book? One of the things they said was, don't stand your character in front of a mirror and have them look at themselves and then describe them. That's a cheap, unoriginal way. This feels like that. A cheap, unoriginal way to introduce them. Like, oh, so she's got a diploma from Yale, but like on the inner wall left, help, I don't know. I guess that makes sense. It's just a description of the room, so I'll give it to them. Her attention was drawn. Instead, I'll give it to them as if I can give James Patterson anything. This guy's got millions of books. Her attention was drawn instead to the wall to her immediate right and 3 framed jackets of books by mega best-selling nonfiction writer George Trombley. Oh, sorry, I read that wrong. Thomas Tull. All right, we've got one down. It's pretty good. I like his descriptive style. I'll put the red ones over here. A little bit later, we'll go through another one. All right. Okay. The book is not called Life Squared anymore. I had to change the title. It's Fate Squared. And I'm gonna go get it. I'll be right back. All right. This is the current version. Cover by Violet, by the way. Still a work in progress. This is the most recent edition, but I've already added, I think, 3,000 words to it as I'm going through the draft. Added a huge chunk of background lore into chapter 27, I would say. Man, I have got to not have this pen be destroyed. I'll put a clear wipe in here to keep my place. But I'm really proud of this. Really proud of it. Thanks, Violet. Thanks, Violet. Violet always being here, being a homie. So yeah, I think I bought 15 books yesterday. And some of the books I stood in the Goodwill reading them to determine if I was going to buy them, because I want third person narrative, which is what I'm doing, and I want mostly sci-fi, right? Because my book's sci-fi, so I don't want to have a book that isn't in my genre. But just some of them, I don't know. I'm like, this is a good book. This is a highly acclaimed book. I'm hoping this is not Dunning-Kruger, where, like, you know, you start something and you're so new to it that you think you're awesome, but you suck. I really hope that's not it. Because I've never sold a novel. I've never released a novel. So I don't know. I've written a bunch, I've started a bunch of novels. This is the first one I finally got to finish. Oh, I took us off of this. Closer to 7,000. Oh, is it closer to? Yeah, I've added 7,000 words since this current edit. I think out of all of the recent edits, last night was the hardest. I added some background information that contradicted with previous statements that I made, so I had to go back and make changes there so that I could add this, I feel like, important fact in the world that needed to be stated. So I think I added a solid 4 paragraphs maybe of this history of the world. No, it's not released. No. I'm definitely this year. Yeah, I mean, it's not that far away. I mean, I have another reviewer that I need to send it to, an English teacher. And right now I just gave it to my friend Kathy, so I think I'll be getting some feedback from her. Hopefully. I know she read The Hobbit and, you know, whatever books J.R.R. Tolkien wrote. She's into fantasy. This book is not fantasy though. But I think she'll give some good feedback, hopefully. And there is another friend, I guess he's still my friend, named Kyle, who has a copy of the previous version of the book, and he's reading it as well. I haven't read it myself, but I've been highly recommended to read the book Snow Crash. Well, I feel like I have that as a movie. Or Dark Matter by Blake Crouch would be a good one for you to read. It's definitely coming out this year, and we already have a newer version of the cover. And once I get, so right now, let me just show you where I am in the edit process. Been through this. Oh, I even read that. I even rewrote that partially. I think I'm in the middle of this one. Okay, I'm right about here. So page 160 or so. So that's how far I've gotten through in the review. So this only took maybe a week or so to kind of get through. So the rest is coming. Yeah, Glacian, I met Kyle in real life. I really like the guy. Brief issue where I blocked him for a couple weeks, but I'm back. I unblocked him, but we haven't talked at all since then. He just said something that really irked me. Let's call that. Let's say that. That's what it was. He irked me. Okay, what else was on my agenda to talk about? Because I'm in like an insanely good mood this morning. I don't think it's because my fasciitis is feeling better. It's because I've got a hold of my sleep schedule. I was able to sleep last night really well. I went to bed tired right around, I think, 1:45, which is pretty early for me, considering the recent times where I've been just going to bed at like 4 or 5 in the morning. And I woke up at 7, like ready to go. So I'm pretty happy about that. And can we pet the scorpion? Have you guys watched the scorpion hunter video? Or did you watch the one that was up on my... It was up on the Japanese from Zero channel. It's not there. I think it's pretty much taken down now. But it was... my wife was laying on the floor in our previous house. And she felt something like something agitating her in her jeans, like in the bottom part of her leg. And then she went to like rub it, and it stung her. It was a scorpion had crawled up into her pants, and she slammed it, she killed it. And then she screamed, and I was upstairs, and I came downstairs, and then I pulled off her pants. Shut up. I pulled off her pants because it was a medical emergency. And then I like shuck it out, and it like just went like this scorpion, not this style, a more like light brown one. And she had been stung, and then she didn't die. The good news is she didn't die, or I would have told you. And then I think it was like a few days later, she had ordered a black light. And then a few days later, she killed, I think, 50 of them in her backyard. And the video was like, I think the 3rd or 4th time she was out there doing it. And she was showing me the process, and she would just like find the scorpion, right? Spray it with scorpion killer spray, and so it would freeze it. I think just because it was cold mostly. And then she had like a spatula, and she would say "Gomennasai, gomennasai," and then just cut it in half brutally, And I'm filming it on my night vision camera, and it's brutal. I think in that video we kill at least 9, 10 or so of them that night. And then that was just a recurring thing. We called it scorpion hunting. And it was like, are you ready for the hunt? And it was like every night we would do the backyard, and it was a massacre. These scorpions had no chance against the great scorpion hunter Yukari. And my wife is, she's never lost a battle to critters. Okay. There was a bed bug that appeared in my daughter's bedroom, like a bed bug, one single bed bug, okay, that we found. Then my wife bought this white powder, and she sprinkled it in all these special spots. This is before AI, right? So she did some serious research. Then she taped all of the sockets, and she slept in that room nonstop on purpose. Why? Because if you remove the human from the bed bugs will flee, looking for more humans to bite. So she sacrificed herself in that room, and we didn't have to get extermination. We got rid of there wasn't even a ton of them. She caught it right at the very beginning of the infestation that's my wife. And now my house sounds really dirty. It's not. It just happened to be a bed bug that we found. And we're talking like 15 years ago. My daughter, who now has a master's degree in computer engineering, she was still in like beginning stages of high school, or even younger. I think she was like elementary school still. Arisa was. And these scorpions, in Seven Hills, which is where my first house was, this place called Seven Hills, they're everywhere. Like, we would take black lights on walks around the entire like neighborhood through the parks and whatnot. They're just everywhere. It's like the whole area is infested. And then the second house that I bought was for my office, 0 scorpions. And I was like, that's awesome. This house has had one. We've seen 1 scorpion. So there's no infestations here. But yeah, they're called, I think they're called Arizona bark scorpions or something like that. Don't mess with trad Japanese wife in America. That's true. Oh, someone noticed my new background. Yeah, I just had ChatGPT work up a new one. I figured for Polyglot George, we don't need to focus on one language, Japanese. So when I'm streaming here, we'll go, which I will be doing from this point forward. We'll be doing probably this type of a background. Yeah, it worked out really well. Looks nice, right? Oh my God, you're saying it wrong still. What am I saying wrong? What was I even saying? It's not an Arizona bark scorpion? I really wish you the best with your novel. Since I read the Ishtar story in book 4, I knew that you were not just a textbook writer. Oh, the Ishtar story. You know the problem with the Ishtar story in book 4? There was supposed to be a second part to it, and I missed it. I don't know if I found it. I don't know if it's in the book anymore. The Ishtar story is actually not fiction, though. It's based on a true story. And I'm working on an update to book 4, and there are new covers already out. I just don't have a copy yet. Let's see if I can find that story. It's like a special commentary section. This doesn't list commentaries. I don't see commentaries anywhere, and I know there was a few. You happen to know what page it was on? Here, I'll skip through and see if I can't find it. Because it was supposed to be continued later, and then I didn't continue it. People pointed that out. These commentary, I just put them on, page. Like, I was always trying to start the lesson on an odd page, and so like there's a whole blank page here because I pushed the lesson 11 over. Actually, if I look before every lesson, I'd probably find it. Look at that, another just random blank page. What a waste. What a waste. I don't think Wow, I'm just like really going hardcore on the wasting of pages. That's 13 pages, guys. The new book doesn't. None of the new books do that. All right, there's another one. Okay. Didn't find it there. Was it this book or was it book 5? I do remember making the comment. Man, another blank page. Have you seen the new book 3, Glaceon? It's even more goated. I'm just gonna literally have to go. Oh my God, so many blank pages. It's destroying my soul. There's no way it was this early. It wasn't Ishtar, by the way. It was Ashtar. I just now remember the name was Ashtar. I can't find it. Somebody's... Oh no, there is a part 2. Okay, it says, you want me to do what? Part 2. Okay, the part 2 is right there. Maybe I added it in this version. I don't know. Okay, so I got to find the previous part. I found part 2. We're going to read it since it came up. Come on. Come on, part 1. This is lesson... Let's try lesson 8. Come on, lesson 6. Don't let me down. I have all these blank pages. Where's part 1? Oh no. Where's part 1? Maybe it's part 1 that I'm missing. Someone let me know. Okay. No, but see, that's part 2. Can you find... So you're right. You're right. It's right here. Commentary. You want me to do what? It's before lesson 9. Absolutely. And it is page 220. It's funny how you're saying you think it's lesson 9, page 220 or something, but that's exactly what it is. How long ago did I... How bad is it that I didn't put the page number of the previous section? Oh, I found it. Oh, wow. It's so... Look at how far apart it is. All right, here we go. Let's... We'll reutilize this pen. All right, here we go. Commentary in Japanese from Zero, book 4. Okay. I believe UFOs exist and generally can accept a variety of strange government cover-up theories. With that being said, I was really not interested in an interpreting job that came up to our company a few years ago. Our office had taken a call from a woman who wanted an interpreter for a channeling session. A channeler is someone who claims to have contact with angels or other spirits and is able to relay the spirit's thoughts to the living world. Some channelers are purportedly able to let spirits take over their bodies. I tried to avoid the job by quoting the woman a slightly higher price than normal for interpreting, and also stipulated a 3-hour minimum charge, thinking that maybe the price would be too steep for her budget. But the woman agreed to the terms, and I was booked for the job. Gonna put my water over here. I feel like I'm gonna spill it. A spirit. I just channeled a spirit who told me, it was George of the Past, who said, "You have spilled water 52 times." The next Saturday, I met the woman and her male friend. They will be called Masami and Susumu here. I was hoping that maybe they were reporters writing a story on channeling, but this was not the case. I actually wrote this really pretty well, I think, for a million years ago. It was Masami's second time visiting this channeler and Susumu's first. We arrived at the house where the channeling was to take place, and the channeler invited us in. She seemed normal enough. After we all exchanged names, she showed us a painting explaining, "This is Ashtar," and Masami was happy to see his likeness for the first time. I was thinking, Ashtar? You've got to be kidding me. Then she pointed to 4 other paintings on the wall and identified each by names like Gabriel. She said that she was now working with them and was able to channel them in addition to Ashtar. We were led to a normal room in the house where we were to have the session. The room was unremarkable, with the exception of 2 lit candles on a bookshelf, which I thought were a nice touch. We sat down, and the channeler explained that Ashtar would pause for me so that I could interpret. The whole time I was wondering why the angel Ashtar didn't just speak Japanese, but I guess English is the standard language in heaven, or wherever Ashtar lives. The channeler, Jerry, began by explaining that Ashtar would take over her body, and that we should not be concerned for her safety as she would be sent to a safe place. Masami was concerned that this session would not be taped properly, since the B-side of all the cassettes from her previous sessions were mysteriously blank. Jerry explained that perhaps the tape machine was malfunctioning, but that was just a minor detail. The session began when Jerry let Ashtar come into her body. Her voice took on a slight Spanish accent, and Ashtar very poetically greeted the people in the room. Masami had a 3-page list of questions and proceeded to ask them in Japanese while I translated. The questions ranged from, "Who is my soulmate?" to, "At what point does the soul enter a baby?" I must admit that I was impressed at the speed with which Ashtar provided replies, but there were several things that remained unclear in my mind. First of all, Masami, according to Ashtar, was in the past a princess at the emperor's palace in China around the time of the end of the Mao dynasty. Apparently, she had fallen in love with a commoner from outside the castle walls and was caught by him with a royal guard. The commoner was beheaded, and the princess lived a secluded life in the palace until her death. The entire time I was interpreting, I was thinking, how come people are always royalty or figures of great importance in their past lives? Where are all the normal people? You were a farmer who died of syphilis after, where are those people? Not wanting to ruin the session, I kept these thoughts to myself and interpreted with the same professionalism I would to any customer. Oh, continued in my next commentary section. That's where I don't continue. There's supposed to be another part. I'll tell it here. So Masami asks Oliver questions. And then eventually it's Susuma's turn. And I'll have to like really think back because it's like so long ago. Even those details I didn't remember until I reread them right now. But the one thing that stuck with me was Susumu started asking about his twin flame. And Ashtar messes up here because Ashtar assumes Masami is Susumu's twin flame. However, here's the twist in the story. Susumu was gay. And he was like, wait a minute, so my twin flame could be a girl? I'm gay. And Ashtar was like, oh, well, yeah. And then the tape stopped recording, you know. But it was, and they tipped me well. Like, I nailed that job. They never came back. But every now and then I pass by that, I don't remember the exact house anymore, but I remember the street it was on, and I'm like, Ashtar, are you still here making money from really lonely people? I don't know. They're either lonely or just lost, you know, and they need someone to help them. I always had I haven't done it yet, but it's something I've been meaning to do. So in Korea, they have these tarot cards like booths, you know, along some of the roads, or like fortune tellers, you know, people that will, you know, like psychics and whatnot in various little, like every now and then you'll see one of those booths popped up, not booths, but like a tent on the street. And I thought, oh man, I can't wait until my Korean's good enough. I'll go in there and I'll see what she knows about me. Like, what could she know about me? Like, there's so many huge things about me that if it was true to be able to read, you know, if it was true to be able to read a person, she should know. Like, she should 100% know my life revolves around Japan, you know, not Korea. And she should know my wife's Japanese. These are things she should know, right? But I want to do it. Maybe I got to do it once with Gaoyong, because I bet Gaoyong would be totally into it with me. Gaoyong's my BFF in Korea. Good job, George, from the past. Second part was included in book 4, but not part 3, unfortunately. You have to actually get channeling from Ashtar to figure out what really happened there. But this woman, I'm telling you, there's no way. She was just good at her job, honestly, reading the room, except she didn't realize Susumu was gay. But it was so obvious Susumu was gay. But I guess if you haven't really met Japanese people, you might mistake. You might not understand that that's how Japanese gay people present. You know what I mean? Typically. And hear me out. Why was a Japanese person an empress in the Mao dynasty of China? I mean, I remember when my dad got some readings at one point, you know, he was also a king in England. So maybe it's that kind of a concept where you put someone in a foreign country, it makes it more awesome for them. That's right. Don't you know that English is the standard language in heaven? And also, why does Ashtar have a Spanish accent? And not like an Aramaic accent, or, you know, or whatever Ashtar was supposed to have been. Twin flames aren't always romantic. They can be. Violet, are you Ashtar now? Because that's exactly, I think, what Ashtar said at the time. That was the covering grace of that. Oh, man. But I am going through book 4 now, and sadly, I might remove that section. That might be gone to the annals of history, guys. What else was I going to talk about this morning? I feel like I had something else. Well, this is new, but normally when I go to bed, I watch TV. But the last 4 days, I'm adjusting to try to like just go to bed. Like, the bed is not where I watch TV. I sleep there. And yesterday was the first perfect night where I just slept right away. So it's kind of working. And I feel super rested. I feel super charged this morning. It's only 8:52. I do have a meeting at 10:30, so please remind me to not go longer than that. Oh, you read about it? You read about Twin Stick? Well, yeah, that tracks, Violet. Time for me to head out now. Take care of everyone. Glaceon Ice is leaving to tend his cactus garden. Things have gotten a little bit prickly. There's some fights happening between the girl and the boy cactuses, and he's got to break it up. Goodbye, Glaceon. All right, let's read another book. A Wrinkle in Time. The one thing I don't like about A Wrinkle in Time is it's Disney. Like, I do not want to read, or it's like the thing with Disney movies, live action Disney movies, and Disney book related stuff. It's always going to be so neutered. The story is not going to be exciting enough. You can't have any sexual tension in a Disney story. But let's see what this says. Let's see if we like how this reads. When was this done? 2017. Original by 1962. But because it's a famous book, we'll see. A wrinkle. Oh, well, that's interesting. Look at that, Violet. That line going through Wrinkle in Time. That's interesting. On the newer cover of Fate Squared, I had Violet add a line going through here. Oh my God, my going through here, and it's kind of reminiscent of that. And it looks great, by the way. And this actually looks pretty cool too. All right, let's see what it says. Name of the chapter is Miss What's-It. It was a dark and stormy night. Really? That's your first line? It was a dark and stormy night? Is this where it came from? Because that's such a tropey line. Okay. It was a dark and stormy night. In her attic bedroom, Margaret Murray, wrapped in an old patchwork quilt, sat on the foot of her bed and watched the trees tossing in the frenzied lashing of the wind. Behind the trees, clouds scudded. Behind the trees, there needs to be a comma here. Behind the trees, clouds, I feel like there needs to be a comma there. Behind the trees, clouds scudded frantically across the sky. Every few moments, the sky ripped through them, creating wraith-like shadows that raced along the ground. Very descriptive. The house shook. Wrapped in her quilt, Meg shook. I don't like the shook to the shook. I'm very aware that I have a problem where, like, I'll say a word in a sentence and then that same word will pop up immediately in the next sentence, some sort of weird duplication of that word. And I feel like that's what's happening here. The house shook, wrapped in her quilt. Let me think about it. The house shook, wrapped in her quilt, Meg shook. And it doesn't flow. She wasn't usually afraid. Maybe Meg shivered or Meg cowered or something like that, She wasn't usually afraid of weather. Oh, by the way, I want to point out, I have been deathly avoiding M dashes because I'm afraid people will go, oh, he just wrote it with AI. But like every book I've been reading has tons of M dashes. So the reason why AI has M dashes is because that's what everyone says. Oh, it's got M dashes as AI. But every other book I've been reading, they all tend to have these M dashes. And I was like rewriting sentences, completely like, because Violet kept adding M dashes, right? Violet is my editor, and she kept adding M dashes, and I'm like, don't add M dashes. Don't do M dashes, and don't do semicolons. But all of the books that I'm reading, that when I was reading at the Goodwill, they all have it. I'm like, okay, well, I guess maybe it's a valid thing I could do. Anyway, she wasn't usually afraid of weather. M dash. It's not just the weather, she thought. M dash. It's the weather on top of everything else. On top of me. On top of Meg Murray doing everything wrong. School. That's one sentence. Just literally. School. Period. School was all wrong. She'd been dropped down to the lowest section in her grade. That morning, one of her teachers had said crossly, "Really, Meg? I don't understand how a child with parents as brilliant as yours are supposed to be can." The typo? As brilliant as yours are supposed to be can be such a poor student. Oh, as brilliant as your parents are supposed to be can. Oh my God, this is a mistake. Tell me this isn't a mistake. Hang on. Really, Meg, I don't understand how a child with parents as brilliant as yours are supposed to be. Add a comma. Are supposed to be can be such a poor student. Oh no. Oh no, yeah, no, yeah, okay. Okay. As brilliant as yours are supposed to be, comma, can be such a poor student. If you don't manage to do a little better, you'll have to stay back next year. Okay. It's that sentence was very clunky. Not enough commas, which is a trait that I have shared in various revisions. Matter of fact, the first person that read the story, when he read I think it was the third draft, every single comment he said to me was about the commas, and he was just ranting about the commas. Well, Wrinkle in Time has a 2 commas. M dashes are a vital punctuation. I know now, Violet. I appreciate you putting them in. Trust. Hashtag trust. You read the part that twin flames aren't always romantic. A soul split in two. That's why sometimes they're romantic, because they're heavily drawn to each other. Okay. Lowen Mech says, I'm halfway through on book 2, but I forgot a few things from book 1. Days of the month, a lot of words, etc. Should I go back and relearn them or go ahead and finish book 2? Days of the month, that's just fancy counting, right? And counting over time, you get better. I actually considered removing counting from the beginning of the book, honestly. But you need it to say your age, so I couldn't. But I don't know. You could go back and just do a quick review, but I don't think you need to break your balls over it, because days of the week was different, right? You got to learn days of the week. But I don't know. Do I remember days of the week in Spanish at this point? You got lunes, tardes, miércoles, jueves? Or is that Friday? Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. I don't know. And then you got it's a sábado and domingo, but let's see. What was Thursday? Thursday's a week one. Thursday and Friday, I think I'm mixed up on. So yeah, the bigger thing you got to do is use your Japanese. That's the bigger thing. If you're actually using Japanese, you're gonna definitely learn the days of the month, because if you wake up, you'll be like, oh, when's my dental appointment? Oh, it's on the 15th. Jugo Nichi. Like the days of the month are purely just number plus Nichi, except for those first 10 days and the 20th, 24th, and the 28th. Everything else is pretty easy. You should get most of those days super easily. I bought book 2 like 3 weeks ago, but I'm still on book 1 just because I wanted to keep working. Oh, you bought book 2 3 weeks ago, so you just missed the new cover. That's sad. The new cover. Have you seen the new cover? It's really pretty. Go look it up on Amazon. Jueves. Jueves is Thursday, but what about Friday? I don't remember Friday in Spanish. Alexa, how do you say Friday in Spanish?
It's Friday. In Spanish es viernes.
Viernes. Friday's rough. Hard to connect it to anything. Yeah. All right. A Wrinkle in Time needs more commas. Okay. Now, Nora Roberts. I never had heard of her. And I was actually on the phone with Violet when I was saying, who's this Nora Roberts lady? She's like, are you kidding me? She's huge. And then I started noticing a million books. Let's see what Nora Roberts has with True Betrayals, which, by the way, the number 1 selling book genre is romance. Sci-fi is 4th. Chapter 1. Is this? Wow, she goes all out. No description on the back of the book. Okay. When she pulled the letter from her mailbox, Kelsey had no warning it was from a dead woman. The creamy stationery, the neatly handwritten name and address, and the Virginia postmark seemed ordinary enough. So ordinary, She had simply stacked it with her other mail on the old Belker table under her living room window while she slipped out of her shoes. She went into the kitchen and poured herself a glass of wine. She would slip it slowly, she told herself, before she opened her mail. She didn't need the drink to face the slim letter, or the junk mail, the bills, the cheery postcard from a friend enjoying a quick trip to the Caribbean. It was the packet from her attorney that had shaken her. The packet she knew contained her divorce decree. The legal paper that would change her from Kelsey Monroe back to Kelsey Biden. From married woman to single. From half of a couple to divorcee. It was foolish to think that way, and she knew it. She hadn't been married to Wade in anything. She hadn't been married to Wade in anything but the most technical legal sense for 2 years. Almost as long as they had been husband and wife. But the paper made it also final. So much more than the arguments and tears, the separation, the lawyer's fees, and legal maneuvers. Till death do us part, she thought grimly, and sipped some wine. What a crock. If that were true, she'd be dead at 26, and she was alive. Alive and well, and back in the murky dating pool of singles. She shuddered at the thought. I feel like, some of my writing is doing the same style she's doing. I've noticed that. But one thing I've noticed is that she's kind of saying their thoughts in their head without showing any indication that it's a thought, and the reader just has to know that it's a thought, like what a crock. If that were true, she'd be dead at 26. Like, that's almost like a character thought. That's interesting. But yeah, I think she's very well, like, really, this is about, I like this as much as I like the Stephen King book that I read. So this is good. I want to see where she gets the actual dialogue. Oh my God, there's no dialogue at all. I jumped right to dialogue. Here's some dialogue. Okay, let me see how dialogue is done. She was, as usual, immaculately dressed. The perfect academic wife in conservative blue wool. Her mink-colored hair swept back from her lovely, youthful face to reveal simple pearl earrings. Kelsey, what a nice surprise. I hope you can stay for dinner. We're entertaining some of the faculty, and I can always use... M-. Where is he? Kelsey interrupted. Candace blinked, surprised by the tone. She could see now that Kelsey was in one of her snits. The last thing she needed an hour before her house filled up with people was one of her stepdaughter's explosions. Automatically, she shifted her stance. Is something wrong? Where's Dad? You're upset. Is it Wade again? Candace dismissed the problem with a wave of her hand. Kelsey, divorce isn't pleasant, but it isn't the end of the world either. Come in and sit down. I don't want to sit, Candace. Okay. What I've noticed in her dialogue is awesome for me. I didn't learn this anywhere. I just started doing it because I kept losing track of who was speaking, constantly saying the name in the dialogue. Here we have it saying, Kelsey, divorce isn't pleasant, right? I don't want to sit, Candace. But that's not how we really speak, but in books you do, because you're trying to keep saying, you don't want to keep saying, Candace said, Kelsey said. So yeah, this is good. I might actually have to read this, because now I want to know what's up. So what did the dad do? Okay, hang on. Shidira, hey, hi George and everyone else. I have a question for you and hoping to get some of your thoughts. I've been in IT for over 20 years and have an opportunity to attend a Japanese language school. Continued somewhere down here. On the 2-year student visa starting this coming April. My goal is to hit at least N2, if not N1, and apply for IT jobs there, and eventually PR if possible. Permanent residency, right? I was thinking press release. Given the job market globally is, continued. Okay, this is a good story. Rough. the weak yen, the anti-foreigner sentiment, and anything else I may be missing. Do you think this is worth it at the time, or should I stay in the US and just work towards the N1 here? This can get deep. Okay. How old are you? I'm gonna assume you're pretty young. You are. This is your life, okay? Assuming you don't die, okay? This is your life. You're like right about here in this life. You're sitting in your past, and what you do right now will affect you all the way up to here, okay? So my initial instinct is 100% go to Japan, because in this experience, this life span that you have, a bunch of experiences makes you an interesting person, and it makes life totally worth living, and you will regret not doing it. That's my actual answer, okay? But you are in the world's history as well, where AI is destroying the jobs that programmers do, right? And I played with Fable 5 on my own programming project the other day, and it was insane. And yesterday without Fable 5 on Claude, I one-shot a program that saves me so much time. It was a program to transfer macros and ribbon menus from Word, from any book to any other book. It extracts them and pastes it into the other books, right? It's insanely powerful for me. I said what I wanted exactly. It asked 3 or 4 questions. This was ultra thinking mode in Claude, Opus 4.8 model. And I ate dinner, I came back, it was done. And it worked. And then I just made like a couple like not fixing bugs at all. It worked 100%. I could have used it as is. But I was like, oh, I kind of want to remember the last book that I did, whatever folder I used last. I wanted to remember that, like stupid things like that. But it one-shot it. I would have paid money for that in the past if I had access to a programmer that I knew could reliably do it. But I've never really, the programmers that we have at the company, they're working on the website. So I wouldn't even ask them. I wouldn't even dream to ask them that. But so those jobs are going away, right? So you got to think like, one line of thinking is, if you move to Japan to go to a language school, you 100% will lose that job unless you can do it remote. You're gonna lose that position, and it might never be something you can get back. And IT jobs in Japan pay really low, like extremely low, like not worth it. One of our programmers is in Japan right now, and I'm gonna tell you right now, he doesn't get good salary for a programmer. My daughter has a master's degree. She's making maybe double what he's making, okay, as a graduate at her first job. Like, she was fortunate to get a job. But every Japanese person that hears his salary is blown away. Like, oh, wow. Like, they can't even imagine what to do with that amount of money. It's not like a great amount of money for a programmer, right? So that's the thing you got to think about when you think about making that kind of a life-changing decision. It's like, can you survive on that? Because look, a man once told me, a friend of mine, and I it looked like I was going to say a joke right now, but I'm not. I'm being serious. One of my ex-students, or my previous students, named Mark and his brother Steve, both fluent in Japanese now, both married to Japanese women, both, I would say, happy in their life for the most part. Mark was still in Japan. He had moved to Japan, and he was, and I was staying in his apartment, or hanging out in his apartment for a brief bit. And I was talking to him about money, because, money is a measure of success, right? So for me, I base a lot of my thinking as well, where am I financially in my life? So right now I'm here, and I used to be here, so I've done better. And now I'm here, and I used to be here, and now I've improved. When it goes down, I go, okay, well, I'm on a downtrend. What can I do to improve it? Because it's the only real point system that I've ever had in my head. And I was having this discussion with Mark about money. And Mark said to me something that fundamentally changed me. He said, it's not always about the money. It's such a simple thing to say because it's not. Because I'll tell you why we maintain staff at from zero at very low pay compared to other companies. Like it's just like if you were looking for jobs and ours came up in a listing, you wouldn't even consider it. But why don't people leave that are very talented for other jobs? I think it's not because I'm a great person, because I'm an ass. I'm not easy. When we have meetings, I'm not easy to deal with. I'm the one slowing shit down in meetings, okay? And I say things like, why does that look like shit? Like, I'm very blunt. I'm not great, okay? I have a thing that I want, and their opinion sometimes doesn't matter as much as it should. And I lead with the negative instead of like, they spent a month working on something or a whole quarter working on something, and they're happy to show me, they're excited, and I go, what is up with that? That looks like shit. But I'm not paying attention to the functionality, the overall look. I have a problem where I only see the negative. And once that's gone, I can appreciate the whole thing. That's who they're working for. So it's not like I work for George because he's just a great man. If you love me as a human being, as a friend, or you think, oh, it'd be great to work for George, I don't think it would be. Because number one, I'll ignore you for half the year. But anyway, why do they stay? Because it's not about the money. What's it about? Freedom. It's about the fact that they can be in Japan. They don't got to come to a meeting. When they need time off, they just take it. There's no like form they got to fill. There's no PTO that they maintain. You know, I've said this before, but one of our employees was dealing with a divorce issue, and there was like a whole month where they weren't able to really work, and we helped them. We were in every because this is a Japanese person, right? But that person was needed help, so we helped them. Justin did, the co-owner of the company, and we didn't ever like say, oh, well, you owe us now, or oh, we need to dock your pay, or your PTO is gone. I was like, no, you know what? You're living life, and things happen, and you've given a significant part of your life to us. Why can't we help you when you're going through struggles, right? So especially when you have a person that works really well and has earned that level of respect, right? So it's not about the money. So you might very well lose this job, and it might mean that you have a harder time making money because you're in Japan with IT. But in the scope of your life, this might be where you meet your wife. This might where you make lifetime friends. You know, you already know what you're doing now in America or wherever you live, but there's a whole bunch of unknown awesome waiting for you. And whether it's good experiences or bad, it's still experiences. So I would say go to Japan, but go knowing that your plan that you have might not work that way. You might leave Japan disappointed, never finding a job that pays you enough money, or you might end up in a field that has nothing to do with what you're doing. But go for the adventure. That's what I would say. Go for the adventure. You know, I personally have thrown a lot of crazy darts in my life, and I've hit quite a few bullseyes unintentionally. I just like, let me just do this thing, and it works out. You know, I never intended to write textbooks. I really never intended to write textbooks. And for years, when I was living in Japan, people told me I should teach Japanese, and I said over and over again, I'm not going to teach Japanese. These people don't love Japan like I do. They don't respect it like I do. I'm not going to teach them anything about the culture and the language and empower them to be jerks to Japanese people. Like, that's how I thought. So I am where I am by stumbling through life, throwing some darts, and sometimes doing the thing that's stupid. You know, I had a stable job as a tour guide, and in most months making like $5,000 or $6,000, in a great month $7,000 at age 21 or 22, 33 years ago, right? Does that math? Yeah, I think like, so way back in the day, that's a lot of money, right? But I quit that job on a whim because I had heard, you need to be hungry. You need to have fear in your heart in order to build something. And I was trying to build something, right? And so I quit with no plan, and it worked out. I'm way better off now than if I hadn't have quit. I moved out of my safety zone, and it worked. So I would say, to end the whole discussion, I would 100% do it going in knowing that there's risks that, and not even risks, but probably like 100% chance that your plan will not go like you planned. The imagination that you have for what the school will be like is nothing like it what will be like. You'll be lonely in so many days unless you get out of your dorm or wherever you are and actually actively go meet people. You'll have to make efforts, and you'll make a friend that eventually ghosts you. You'll make friends that you thought were your friends and they're not your friend. There will be all sorts of stupid things that happen, but in the end, you'll probably be happier for it because you've experienced life. What's that whole, like, it's better to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all? It's better to have set on a trek and not reached your destination, because the journey, as they say, that is what you're doing it for. It's for the journey, not the end destination. There. That's what I have to say on that. I'm trying to catch up here. Okay. Hang on. Let me try to get to the part where I was. Okay, here we go. Okay, awesome. I love Netherlands. Learned the word dank jewel when I was there and went to Amsterdam and Volendam. Okay, I missed some of that. I'm not sure what that's about. George is reading us bedtime stories and we're still talking about Japanese. Yes, well, this is the Polyglot George channel, and it's Morning Coffee with George, so it's not Japanese from zero particularly, but I don't mind taking Japanese questions. That's nice that you speak to Japanese people. I'd love that. I only meet them. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Let me get to this. Where we got to go. Did you hear Oliver Tree passed? I did hear that. Okay. I'm not sure if there's anything out there. I'm not sure there's anything out where you're at, but there's a Japanese language group in my city in Texas. Okay, I missed part of that conversation probably. If you use Discord, though, I would love. Kyle, go to Japan. Okay, Kyle's advice. Go to Japan 100%. Good advice. Kyle says, we are just dust in the wind. True. Okay, here we go. At Shadira, do you really N1 or N2? I don't know. We're missing a verb there or something. I don't think you'll be in many situations where it's needed. Same with the high-level English, for example. True. I don't disagree with that. Okay, Kyle. Shadira says, I keep hearing I need the N2. The reality is some companies require N2 or N. I don't think any require N1, but certain companies will require a certain level of Japanese. And the best way to show it is through the Nihongo no Ryoku Shiken, the JLPT. But maybe it's more of just needing to be able to speak at a level they accept. True. Okay. A lot of people getting requests here. Everyone I know tells me don't live in Japan. You know what though? Look, everyone's experience is completely different. There's a thing that there's a program in Japan called JET, and it's the government program to bring in English teachers, right, from abroad. It's called JET, and I've met a couple people on JET, and the thing that I heard about JET is it can be awesome or it can suck, depending on where they put you, but you can't choose. And so it's luck of the draw. You might get an amazing location and you might get a poor location, but that's life, right? You can make every perfect choice in life and still have a bad result, or you could do all the wrong things and have a great result. Donald Trump. Life isn't, I mean, obviously, like, you can affect outcomes. You can run away from bad situations. You can make better choices. You can study and become good at something and then do something with that. But it's not guaranteed, right? Outcome is not guaranteed. I would move back to Japan if I could figure out the best way to do it. As long as it wasn't in the summer, I would have like I would have a location where I could go back to. I would love that. I loved living in Japan, for the record. Money is always perspective. What do you want in life? I arguably downgraded, but I feel like I upgraded. This is true. Kyle, I've met Kyle in real life, and Kyle loves his situation now, despite, I guess, making less money or spending more money. I agree with that. Shadira says, that's kind of what I was thinking. I know the pay will be lower, but I feel that the trade-off for what I'd gain would be well worth the wait, worth it. Going to a language school, I'll only legally be able to work 28 hours a week while there. Yeah, and the language school might suck. So the language school is the legal way you get to stay there. And I have Hugo, one of the co-authors of Spanish from Zero, is there, and he was at a language school, and I guess it sucked. And now he's at a music school, and I guess that sucks. But it keeps him in Japan, you know. And if you could get remote work, Shadira, then you don't got to worry about Japan's low pay. Remote work is what you need to do, I would say. George reminds me of one of my previous boss. He has the driest humor, is harsh, but I love him. Yeah, I think people hate the moment that they're hearing harsh criticism, but that's the thing. I'm never gonna not be honest with you. Either you nailed it and it's amazing and I'm blown away, which is probably a great feeling after hearing something sucks, you know? Like we have artists on staff, and I know when they finally nail it and I'm impressed, it must feel good. You know, I don't know, because I haven't been on that side of the equation in a long time. Okay. I think working remote for US or your current country where you are can still be possible, but I'm not sure if it would really be possible if you're abroad. It depends on the company for sure. Yeah, the biggest thing would be finding a company that will let me work remote there, or a US company in Japan to make USD. Well, a US company in Japan won't pay you USD. They will take advantage of the yen most likely. That's a rare mentality of an employer. I used to live in an at-will state. I don't know what at-will means. I don't follow those. What does that even mean? Why did that jump away? Hang on. Okay, here we go. I got nothing. George, the scorpion of knowledge. Mm-hmm. That's Shadira says, that's what I'm thinking. If I hate it, I can always come back. True. You can always make new decisions. The thing is, you make a decision, it's okay to undo that decision. It's okay to move away, you know? Yeah, that's the thing people seem to forget. You can undo it and just say, you know what? I went, it didn't work. I'm glad I tried it, but it didn't work. You know, my daughter Arisa, when she was young, when she was a kid, she's quirky. Okay, I just remember like kids would ask her out, and she wouldn't evaluate it in the moment. She would just go, "Yeah, okay," and then a week later she'd be like, "Yeah, I'm done. Yeah, I didn't like it." She would give them a shot for what that means at like 9 or 10 years old, and then, okay, you know, give it a shot. You might like them. At Polyglot George, in title of this stream, isn't it should be Scorpion instead of Scorpion? Oh, you're right. I think Scorpion. Yeah. Yes. Isn't it should be that is correct. It's a scorpion, right? Alexa, how do you spell scorpion? Alexa, how do you spell scorpion? Oh my God. Alexa in the other room, shut up. Oh, it's rebooting. How do you spell scorpion?
There are 2 words pronounced like that. SCORPIAN. And SCORPION.
So ON is the arachnid. So Scorpion is a Scorpio. I'm a Scorpion, I guess. Yes. So it should be a no. Possibilities like that are far less common these days. Lots of boomers say just apply yourself, but a lot of minimum wage jobs want a college degree and 3 years experience. Shadira says, thank you very much for your insight, George, and everyone else. I've been honestly thinking along the same lines. Also, this makes me feel better. You know, you have to trust yourselves, Shadara. There's a thing I say to myself. I say it sounds like a joke every time I say it to people, but you know who I am? I'm the great George Trombley. I'm George Trombley. I'm in control of this entity, and it is great. And I will figure it out. I will figure it out. I don't know what I'm doing right now. I can only see like this pinpoint focal spot within this long span of what I'm doing. But you know what? I'm just going to get through today. You know, I'm not a drug addict or anything like that. I've never been to, you know, Alcoholics Anonymous, but I feel like that's what they do. It's like one day at a time. And really, I'm like, what's the next step? All right, let's do it. If you plan too far, those plans almost always never work anyway. Always something changes the plans, and it's just a wasted mental game in my mind, right? Although I am reading a book right now that's making me reconsider planning called The 12-Week Work Year, which I don't think I have it on the desk, but it's interesting. Concept's interesting. But I'm a more of a seat of your pants person. Like, let's do it. Like I'll have one conviction, not just say, I'll have one conviction on Monday and flip it on a Wednesday, and people will be like, but you said, but I don't care. That's what I felt like on Monday. That was what the entity known as the great George Trombley understood what he was doing. I gotta say something. This is weird. Okay, so I have a version of my screen is up over here. And then I have a reflection. I have this anti-reflection reflector, which ironically makes big reflections. So I can see myself here and here. But this one is delayed, and I feel like there's two Georges in a different dimension. It's so weird. It's blowing my mind. It's like this guy over here does this, and this guy copies him a second later. It's really weird. I don't know what I was talking about. But look, it's okay to change your mind. There's a lot of details that we're dealing with in our brain, and what you feel like one day is not how you're going to feel another day. This is another reason, by the way, I don't harp too much on things that I've done wrong in the past, because I made the right decision at the time for who I was. The George Trombley of that time made the best decision he could. Just because I can see it clearer now doesn't mean I made a mistake. It means if I was the person I am now, I wouldn't have made that decision. So I can't penalize a guy that didn't have all the information that I have now. Hindsight is 2020, but it's destructive to your ego. It's destructive to your soul to think, oh, wait a minute. Now that I know there was going to be Corona. Oh, if only well, you wouldn't have known. You could have never known there was going to be Corona. You could have never known you were going to break your leg and not be able to work. Whatever thing happens to you, you could have never known, right? And that's the other thing. Let's say you don't go to Japan, and then later on you regret, oh man, I should have went to Japan. But what if when you went to Japan, bad things happened? Well, you avoided that, but you didn't know that. But let's say in the other outline, you go to Japan and then, you know, you get hit by a car and now you can't walk. And then you're like, I shouldn't have gone to Japan. Like, people always base their current thoughts on what they did in the past on their current situation, but you don't know what that's going to be, right? Because it could always go the opposite. Japan could be the best thing that happens to you. Or not going could have been the best thing that happened to you. You know, maybe if you don't go to Japan, you're going to get fired anyway. And then you're going to have no ability to go to Japan because you won't have the funds. You'll be struggling to survive, right? So going was the best option, even if Japan's worse. So many millions of ways. That's why I don't plan too much. I don't think too much about the planning. It's too much to think about. All right. I would do it too. Who dares wins. You are not on the From Zero Discord. Oh, that's not to me. You basically need to know someone these days because everything is corrupt BS. My God. Kyle, can I say something to you, Kyle? Just like, here, hang on. Oh, it didn't switch. It didn't switch to this camera. I was trying to do a side cam. Kyle, you are so jaded, bro. Go back and read your statements. The world is a conspiracy against you. There's no more opportunity. I understand times are rough, but there is still opportunity. Don't be jaded. You know, I can't. What's that saying? If you think you fail, or if you think you'll succeed, you're right. Now, I know that you're not failing. I know you're doing well, right? But your statements are very depressing. Don't be, I would just say, consider that so much of what you say, you sound like like everything's a conspiracy. The world's against everything that you do. I don't think that's the case. So that's my 2 cents. Even though I know, yeah, you do need to know someone these days, but I don't think it's because it's corrupt. There's just less jobs. And people are using AI to scan for people. I don't know, whatever, but it doesn't mean there's no opportunity. Realign said, I am inspired. I'm not sure what you're inspired by, but Captain says, agreed. I think everyone just speaks on their experience and no one's words are facts. Oh, that's the other thing, guys. When you ask advice from people, if you really, really look at what everyone, like, I can boil down maybe 99% of someone advice. You want to know what it is? Here it is. Ready? This is George Trombley, the great George Trombley's translation. Polyglot George, linguist. Here's my translation from English to English of every advice you ever heard. And I want you to really think about it. Your parents' advice, your friends' advice, your teacher's advice. Ready? It's easy. Do what I did. That's everyone's advice. Do what I did. If you talk to me, I'm going to say, write a book. Can you write? Why don't you start a YouTube channel? I'm going to do everything that I did that worked. I'm going to give that advice to you. That's the most common advice that people give. At will means you can be fired for any reason. Thank God I've never really been in jobs like that. I mean, interpreting was like a gig job, so you're not going to get fired from that. Okay, she's back up. Free will. Don't be afraid to make mistakes as long as the consequences are navigable. Nice words. Also, perspective. Some people will see a Japanese person not sit next to them and blame racism, and other people ride the train. Kyle is getting a teacher's talk 101. Kyle says, you see it as jaded. I am a pessimist because life has been unfair to you. Life has been unfair to you. And Kyle, let's look at your life, my life. Let's look at other people's lives who have had unfair cards dealt to them. I certainly had my fair share of unfair cards dealt to me. Okay? You've had them as well. But there are choices along the way that we make. Do I do drugs? Do I drink a lot of alcohol, making me stupid? Do I have friends that are the type that I can look up to, that pull me up instead of drag me down? What job do you take? What skills do you acquire? What do you do with the skills that you've acquired? What dart do you throw that work? How many darts do you throw? Do you throw enough darts to hit bullseyes? These are all things that, while I 100% agree, life can be unfair, and I would say it 100% is unfair. go watch on Tissue Box channel my eternal book that I wrote as God. I wrote it as God. I'm God, by the way. And in there, you'll see how I feel. Like, that's actually my philosophy on life. But there are still things that we do to change paths of what we do. You know, are you who you are because of maybe a balance of poor decisions? I don't know. I don't know if that's the case. I'm just saying evaluate it, right? Like, I can look back and see mistakes that I have made that would have made me financially a much more richer person. I'll give you one. I can't remember. I was like 21, I think. And there was a man that I met in Tokyo, and he found out that I spoke Japanese, and he asked me to help him get a part for a car. And I went to his hotel room. We called the car place, and I had zero like survival instincts. I'm in a random man's hotel room. And I called the car place, and I get him this part for like a Porsche 911 or something like that. And he's elated. He's like, oh my God, you know how long I've tried to get this part and I couldn't get it? And you just were able to do that? He says, look, I want you to meet me at this station at 8 a.m. There's another meeting I'm going to take you to. I think I can, if you want to work in selling or working with me selling these cars, these like Lamborghinis and Porsche and whatever, these like high-end luxury cars, there's a lot of money that can be made in this. And I had already graduated high school. I was looking for something. I was already doing import-export, but that would be a great thing for me to have gone into, right? And I missed the meeting. And I remember I called him after I missed the meeting. It was like 8:15 when I realized I had missed the meeting, or I was running late, and I called him from a payphone or somewhere because it was no cell phones back in the day. He's like, no, sorry, you missed your shot. And that man I found later on was, I don't know if it was actually the man, but there's a place here called Jim Marsh. It was like right in Vegas. Jim Marsh sells these luxury cars, and I lost it. Where would I have been if at that crucial juncture in my life I didn't fuck up and miss my slot, right? How many slots did you theoretically, virtually, right, miss that I'm not aware of, and that I would in my other actions took? I don't know. I don't know, Kyle. I think, and I also think you can shed the past. You can shed it. You can say, that's who I was, but no one knows that. Only I know that. I don't have bad friends. I only have good friends. I have friends that pull me up. I have friends that are there to help me, not that are constantly requiring my help. It's a give and take. Sometimes I pull my friends up, and sometimes they pull me up, and sometimes we just laugh with each other. But I don't have friends that constantly pull me down. I don't have friends. You know what I don't have? I don't have look, this is my hot take. I don't have worthless friends. I don't have friends that aren't morally upstanding. I have friends that are poor, that literally have zero motivation in their life, that will never accomplish anything but working at a supermarket. That's fine. That's fine, because they're good people and I love them, right? And they're not pulling me down. And if I had a problem, they would be there for me, right? And then I have other people that have way more ghosts in their, not ghosts, what's the word I'm looking for? Way more mental issues in their life, whatever, but they still are able to pull me up. And sometimes I can help them. I just went and helped a friend yesterday with a long-standing problem that she had. I went, even paid for her lunch. I helped her and paid for her lunch because she's helped me in the past. It's this great give and take. She's always been there for me, so I'll try to be there for her, even though the last few years has been rocky in our relationship. But what I don't hang out with is worthless people. And it doesn't mean they're actually worthless people. Worthless to me. I don't have relationships that are like trade-offs where it's like, I'll do this for you, then you do it for me. But I realize I have a choice. I have a choice in friends. And I don't have friends that bring a lot of drama. If I have a drama friend, I will get rid of them. Drama friends, people that suck my time up, that isn't worthwhile time or enjoyable for me, I just let them go. Even if I like them, I will make just decisions and leave. So because those friends shape your life. You are who you hang out with. I have a lot of very successful friends My friend Tim in Japan, very successful. My friend Kathy was successful. She's working on it. She's had a little bit of a slump, but she's super, super great mindset for business, right? Everyone goes through slumps. I've been through it. I'm on the downtrend right now. I'm telling you right now, honestly, I'm on a downtrend, but I'm not bothered by it. I'm working on other things. I'll figure it out. It's just like I said, like every choice you make in whatever part of your life I'm in, I'm pretty sure like I'm like right here. I'm near the far end of, hey, or at least midway if I live to 100. But I know things are stable, but I gotta pay attention because AI and competition. So what can I do different? Well, maybe I write some novels, work on some programs, reformulate how I work. Yeah, you'll figure it out. But what I won't do is have shitty friends. I know I was kind of rambling there. I apologize. Let me go back to the chat. Oh my God, it's going to be a Kyle melody. I don't even want to read everything Kyle said because Kyle will contradict literally 90%. 90%. Okay, but what you don't understand, he'll defend everything I just said. I'm just speaking generally, Kyle. Let's see. Let's see what he says. Not my parents. My dad was a drug addict, jailed, and died in his 40s. My mom was a teenager and had 3 kids. My mom was 15 when she got pregnant with me. So there. And I've had 5. My dad has had 5 wives. I had a very unstable mother relationship. Lived paycheck to paycheck and couldn't care for us. I'm doing better than the rest of my family. That is true. I've heard your stories. It's not my life. Doesn't everybody on both sides of politics scream about how things are unfair? It was おかえり帰ったなんぼ6個もか何回並んだ3回すげえ2人で頑張ったじゃあ何交代でさ並んだわけよかったじゃんじゃあちょっとライブストリームに戻るねIf I was fine with using people, my life would be much better like every billionaire. George, I'm an alien that's an introvert and pessimistic. Text isn't the best way to fully express myself, so I'll come off like a weird asshole. All right, well, none of these are bad that you're saying, so this is what I like about you, Kyle. Would you have friends that pull you down? Yes, only if they pull me down temporarily. They're pulling me down because I'm pulling them up. But see, the thing I don't like, I don't want friends that I can't pull up. Like it's not worth it to me. Like life is so short. Like I don't want to be, because empathy, right? The empathetic part of me pulls me down when I can't help a person get out of whatever situation they're in, And so if a person's bringing to me, because friends, you talk, oh my God, I'm struggling with this. Well, what about this? What if we do this? How about if I do this? And then they're like, oh, well, I don't know. It's just not going to work anyway. Like, oh my God, I start looping their problems in my mind. And sometimes I just have to disengage. I say, look, I can't. Good luck on that. You want to watch a movie? I can't. Sometimes I just can't. You have to understand your own limitations capacity wise to deal with people. So, I know that there are perfect friends out there for me. All I gotta do is open up a slot. And if someone's in that slot that's taking up my time and I'm losing out on an insanely good friend, well, that's not me, man. I should have the guts to get rid of them. But yeah, why would you have friends pull you down? I deleted Facebook and moved several times because most people I knew were replaceable. That is so true. I ain't gonna lie. Kyle, me and you agree. I dropped my childhood best friend because he became a drug addict. Yep, good choice. History doesn't matter to me if you're going to bring down my present. Oh man, okay, well you have all the right attitudes, Kyle. I never got a vibe that you weren't. You just seem very negative on here. You have so many scars that are bleeding. You are talking so much about your good decisions and about how other people are bad. You look self-centered in the other messages. Oh, that's that old. I thought that was Kyle talking to me. I got very confused. Let me read this again. You have so many scars that are bleeding. You were talking about your good decisions about how other people are bad. Yeah. Well, yeah, that was what I was reading from Kyle, was that everything is against him in the world or against us. But you realize the world has always been against the power structure has always been against the commoners. It's not new. You know, you think it was better 1,000 years ago, 500 years ago, 300 years ago? We had slaves. We were forcing people to be slaves. There were sharecroppers. You know, the history is not good for anybody. It's probably the best. I think we've definitely taken a little bit of a downturn, but it's probably one of still the best times in history to be alive with technology and all that stuff. The parent thing was about them giving good advice. Oh my God. Okay, now it's between. I'm not going to read all this stuff between. No one cares about my existence, only what I can provide. Employers where I used to live would look for reasons to fire you for cheaper people. Well, man, you definitely chose the wrong place. But I guess it's you gotta work. You gotta work, right? Maybe that's why I don't trust anyone. It's funny. I sound negative, but I'm happy. So I guess it's true. I met Kyle. He's a very happy guy, except for the most recent rant that ended in me blocking him. My God, I can't get that out of my head, Kyle. It's so dirty. Everything you said in that rant. Like, really, man, you go back and read how horrible everything you said sounds. Anyway, what coffee am I drinking? I'm not drinking any coffee, guys. This is water. Just historically, it was called Coffee with George. Oh, what is that? What else is happening? Let's look at another book. Let's see here. John Grisham. I have, I think, 4, maybe 6 books I bought previously, but I saw a paperback. I have read Pelican Brief, The Firm, and other, I think 2 other books. I can't remember the name. But anyway, this is called The Confession. Let's see how this book reads. For those of you that are coming late, I'm just looking at how other books write, other authors write, because I'm close to releasing a novel. And as I'm going through my own book, I'm like, man, is that sentence okay? I'm learning literally anything goes in these books, because these are all famous, well-known books, or authors at least. Okay, here we go. The Confession. We're only going to read a paragraph or so. The custodian at St. Mark's had just scraped 3 inches of snow off the sidewalks when the man with the cane appeared. The sun was up, but the winds were howling. The temperature was stuck at the freezing mark. The man wore only a pair of thin dungarees, a summer shirt, well-worn hiking boots, and a light windbreaker that stood little chance against the chill. But he did not appear to be comfortable, nor was he in a hurry. Oh, uncomfortable, sorry. But he did not appear to be uncomfortable, nor was he in a hurry. He was on foot, walking with a limp and a slight tilt to his left, the left aided by a cane. He shuffled along the sidewalk near the chapel and stopped at a side door with the word office painted in dark red. He did not knock on the door. He did not knock, and the door was not locked. He stepped inside just as another gust of wind hit him in the back. The room was a reception area with the cluttered, dusty look one would expect to find in an old church. At the center was a desk with the nameplate that announced the presence of Charlotte Junger, who sat not far behind her name. She said with a smile, "Good morning." Nice, right in the dialogue. "Good morning," the man said. A pause. "It's very cold out there." "It is indeed," she said as she quickly sized him up. The obvious problem was that he had no coat and nothing on his hands or head. "I assume you're Miss Junger," he said, staring at her name. "No, Miss Junger's out today, the flu. I'm Dana Schroeder, the minister's wife, just filling in. What can we do for you?" There was one empty chair, and the man looked hopefully at it. "May I?" "Of course," she said. He carefully sat down, as if all movements needed forethought. "Is the minister in?" he asked as he looked at the large closed door off to the left. "Yes, but he's in a meeting." "What can we do for you?" She was petite, with a nice chest, tight sweater. He couldn't see anything below the waist, under the desk. He had always preferred the smaller ones. Cute face, big blue eyes, high cheekbones. A wholesome pretty girl. the perfect little minister's wife. I could learn from John Grisham. I write sort of like that, I feel, but he writes it's a little bit more snappier, I think, the way he's writing it. I like his dialogue tone. I also like that. I worried, like, do I need to say these like these like stupid lines to get to the good lines? But yeah, you have to show a real conversation. So I'm happy to read that. He does a thing where that I do as well. Maybe it's just a natural thing that you do, but you write some dialogue, then a little bit of backstory, like little dialogue, little bit of backstory, or a little bit of character development in between the lines, and it slows down the scene a little bit. It had been so long since he'd touched a woman. Okay, here we go. Nice. Okay. It had been so long since he touched a woman. I need to see Reverend Schroeder, he said as he folded his hands together prayerfully. I was in church yesterday, listened to his sermon, and, well, I need some guidance. He's very busy today. He's very busy today, she said with a smile. Really nice teeth. He's sizing her up. I like this. I'm in a rather urgent situation, he said. Dana had been married to Keith Schroeder long enough to know that no one had ever been sent away from his office, appointment or not. Besides, it was a frigid Monday morning and Keith wasn't really that busy. A few phone calls, one consultation with a young couple in the process of retreating from a wedding, underway at that very moment. Then the usual visits to hospitals. She fussed around the desk, found the simple questionnaire she was looking for, and said, okay, I'll take some basic information. Wait a minute. I don't think you can do that. He did. Give me a second. Custodian's true. What point of view is this chapter from? Is it from her chapter? See, it makes me feel like this is a Dana chapter, because one thing I read over and over again, or at least a few times, was that you're not supposed to have, you can't be in two people's head in one chapter. Right? And right now, we're in Dana's head. We're getting this backstory from Dana. She knew this, she knew that, she knew his schedule. And so maybe it's her perspective of her interacting with the man, but I'm not sure. Oh, it is. Yeah. Okay. I see now. It is. This is a Dana chapter. Okay. All right. Good. I thought, wait a minute. Is she in both of her? Are we in the man's head and her head? All right. I like that. Grisham triggers me because it's one letter away from being a name in Russian. We have Grisha. Well, maybe he's got Russian descendants, and when they came to America, they added the M. A lot of times, names changed when they emigrated to America. I'm not gonna engage you. I'm not gonna engage on that discussion anymore, Kyle. I want to put that in the past, honestly. I've heard writers say that the normal conversation is the hardest to write. That's why Seinfeld was so revolutionary. I'll tell you why Seinfeld was good. For me, there's a thing that Seinfeld does that I absolutely keep in my head when I write. It's that they don't start the scene and set everything up. They start it post the setup, so you don't see the setup to the joke. So just imagine the scene opens up, fades in on George and Seinfeld walking down the street. That's what I mean, Jerry. It shouldn't be allowed. What shouldn't be allowed? Come on, George. It's been like that forever. What do you mean it's been like that forever? It's never been like that. You're drawn in. You don't know what they're talking about. They do that all the time on Seinfeld. And then maybe even before that you figure out what they're talking about, they bump into a lane and she hears, oh, what's he on? Is he on about the, and then she'll reveal, is he on about the, I don't know, about the cheesecake being wrapped in paper again? Whatever the thing is, and whatever it is, it's funny. And then she's the revealer of what he was complaining about. and then your brain goes, oh my God, that's what he was talking about. And it's funny. But other shows, like I would say Drew Carey might be a one. I could not watch Drew Carey, but Drew Carey would be like, I'm telling you, cheesecake shouldn't be wrapped up in paper. It's always been like that, Drew. And it's like they've already given, there's no tension build up to that. So it falls in line with advice I read about one book in particular said, or one YouTuber, I think her name was something Emmons or something like that. Anyway, I wish I could remember her. I watched a ton of her videos. She's like, remove your first chapter. I think it was her that said that. Remove your first chapter. It will make the book better. And I did, and it was amazing. I removed all this backstory and just jumped right into it. And then I realized I could probably remove the first paragraph of a lot of my chapters too and make it cleaner. I haven't done that yet. So far, I've agreed that the chapter beginnings have been good. I crossed out one in one version, and I haven't gotten to it yet in the rewrite, but I might remove it because you don't need it. Like I realized I'm giving a lot of like expositional type things where you're just telling a lot. You're doing an information dump in the beginning of a chapter because you want to make sure that the reader is in the right spot, but they don't have to be, because you can reveal it through the dialogue and reveal it through the way that you write the story, right? And it's more fascinating for the reader to discover what's happening that way. We live in the best time in history. Facts. 100. The fact that I live in America is amazing. The fact that Japan and America have good relationships is too awesome. Dude, the fact that you can just get on an airplane and travel anywhere on the planet pretty much is insane, right? The fact that we can do what we're doing right now, this doesn't cost us any money. We're just like talking to each other randomly. 12 of us. 12 of us are all sitting here connected in the moment right now. That's insane. You know how unprecedented that, like, through in the entire history of humans, that has not been possible. Like, this is magic. Okay? And look at me. I'm moving quick. There's no lag. There's like 9-second delay max because it's a live stream. But we could be on a more live connection and be talking in real conversation. You can do whatever you want if you know how to break the rules properly. It's really hard to view art as a consumer when you're the creator. It's a little bit of a negative vibe again, but it does change how I look at stories. But now I appreciate good writing. Now I know good writing because I've done the research to know what it's supposed to, and I know now this makes a story, this doesn't make a story. But there can be huge variations in how a story is told, and they could still be hitting all those beats. There was a thing I did with my friend Nick. Nick wanted to write a book, and I was writing my book. And so I kind of like took him under my wing. I was like, okay, let me see what you got. And I didn't like what he wrote. I was like, dude, this is shit. You're missing key things, right? Because I had read what you needed, right? I know what the ingredients of a story are, and I know the changes that I made to my story really changed the story into a story. It was not a story before. It was a set of circumstances, and this happened, and then this happened, and this happened type stuff. It wasn't good. And so I said, look, you know, every story has to have a certain elements. It's like when you make a cake, you have to have eggs and flour, or it's not a cake, right? You can do all sorts of cool things with that cake, but it has to have the basic ingredients. So I wrote down ingredients, right? I wrote down like inciting incident, the reluctant hero. I wrote all of these little things on a sheet, right? And I said, let's watch a movie and let's mark down, because a good story will have all of this. Let's mark down when these things occur in the story, right? And it was like a sheet like this big, and I actually went and bought us like clipboards. We were sitting there in my room. I have a big TV in my room, and I have these two side chairs, and he's on this side, and we're like watching. And we watched a movie called, I think it was called The Tower or something like that. Nothing was happening. None of those elements were there, and it sucked. It was a great happy accident that the first movie we watched was so bad that we stopped it midway through. It was like, we didn't know what was happening. It was unclear. There wasn't any progression in the story. It was just a mistake of a movie, right? And so let's just watch something else. And I picked a random movie called Big Eyes, and boom, it was hitting the marks. And it was so good, so enjoyable to watch. I think it was Big Eyes. No, that was another time. We did that for another movie. It also hit all the marks. There was another movie. What was it called? Colossal. Colossal was a great movie. Hit all the right marks. Right? Took the character and destroyed their life, and just did like, oh, okay, just it seems tropey, but good stories all follow a pattern. Not a pattern that isn't changeable, not a pattern that ruins it, but there are certain things that when you know it does. I agree with Kyle here. You go, okay, I'm not going to tell you. I literally don't want to tell you this thing that happens in every story, a dynamic, like a mechanic of storytelling, that once you see it, you can predict what's going to happen next every single time. Every single time, it's the truth. And once I knew it, that's how I was like, oh, I guess this is, yep, if I do this, it's not, and I try to work around that mechanic that always happens. I can't tell you what it is because I don't want to ruin it for you. It's not a story spoiler. It spoils every story though, right? Because if you know it, you're like, once you know it, you know it. But now I just see, well, how are they going to work through it? And it's more fun for me to watch a good story now because I'm like, oh, here it goes, they're doing it. There are things that, yeah, but I feel like my watching of movies has been enhanced. It can go two directions. I'll either be more disgusted or more happy. It's like, oh my God, why would they do that? That's the worst thing. Or, wow, they nailed that. Oh, this is good writing, Hang on. The Always Sunny podcast talked about getting in fights about details that ultimately no one noticed. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I'll spend so much time on a stupid detail. I'll sit there thinking like, well, he would never say that. Would he say that? No one cares though. Literature. Oh, this is Chew Wafers, by the way. Chew Wafers, by the way, is super important to me. He's the reason I wrote the novel. His name on Discord used to be Square. It's different now. But he's the reason why I wrote the novel. It was a joke between me and him. I started writing a story between me and him when his name was Square and I was George, and those are the main characters in the book. And he was Square and I was George. And as I wrote this joke dialogue to him between us, I was like, well, how do they know each other? I want to know how they know each other. Why would George say that to him? Why would Square say that to George? And then I went and wrote the story. And that chapter, I think, is like chapter 9. It's a pretty important chapter in the book. But thank you. Chew Wafers is very important to me. He's the one that complained about all of my comma usages when he read the third draft. Literature got to where it is today by doing either what no one else did, refused to do, or never thought could be done, never should be done. It's pretty arbitrary. I will say one thing, Chew Wafers. There's a thing that happens in Fate Squared. There was a rule I was trying to maintain. Like, it was told to me really strongly in some video that was like, this must happen, right? With your main character. I can't say it because it'll be a spoiler, but I couldn't do it. I could not do it. And the whole book shifted on a thing in the book, and then it prevented me from doing this thing with that character. And I was really worried it was going to be a problem. But it's the one thing that I've actually heard people say, that was so awesome how that happened. And I'm going to go, oh, so the thing that was supposed to happen didn't happen, and I couldn't rectify it. I couldn't rectify it even like 1%. There was no way to fix it. And I thought it's going to be a problem, but it wasn't. One of these days I'll have to have like a after the book's released for a bit, I want to have we'll do like a live stream where for only people that have read the book can be in the stream, and then we can actually be in Discord talking about the book. I'm assuming this is people that all enjoyed the book and want to talk about the book, because I do want to talk about what that thing was. Anyway, what book is this is wild? You mean, I don't know if it's this one I was reading. I'm not sure. That was like 10 minutes ago almost, for research purposes. Oh, yeah, no. It was this, right? Yes. It was. I don't think it's going to be sexual, for the record. He's just being a little bit pervy. Justin Roiland and of Rick and Morty said they got good at telling stories in like 5 minutes, so they'd make episodes where the full arc happens from the beginning, and then they just go forward. I've listened, not just Justin Roiland, but why is his brain slipping me? Creator of Community, Dan Harmon. So Dan Harmon used to have a podcast called Harmontown, and he would talk about story writing every now and then. It was like a bunch of weird topics would come up, but he's really good at writing. Mama Keste! It's she's got this teapot that makes that sound when it gets hot. Arigato! Chatting through devices made from harvested ores, and crushed rocks because it shoots invisible lasers to space. Chatting through devices made from... Oh! Yes. I mean, if you think about it, our whole world is built on sand. Like, silicon is sand. We built computers out of sand. Glass is built out of sand. That's crazy. Sand. And rocks. Crazy. Okay, Violet. Is it Color Out of Space? Hang on, I'm gonna find it. Maybe it's too high up for me to grab. There it is. Hang on. It's actually called Color Out of Space. This movie is so bad. What a cool cover, though. This is the worst Nicolas Cage movie. Beautiful movie. Stunning. A magnificent beast of a film, simultaneously foreboding and haunting. No, it wasn't. Trash. It's the one Blu-ray I'm probably going to take out of my collection. You don't understand. I have a massive collection, and I don't take DVDs out here. Oh, my camera doesn't want to switch. I could show you, but no, this is a bad movie. Poorly written. Maybe it was a good book, but it became a poor movie. I don't know, but it's a horrible movie. Captain Calypso says, I love Seinfeld for that. Yeah, Seinfeld's amazing. Monsters. I can't remember if Monsters was good or bad. I don't remember. I've wanted to see Colossal. Oh man, Kyle, it's good. It's a great movie. I really had fun with it. What's a good Japanese comedic show? Comedic? Boy, I have not been watching comedy. I've been watching the Kore Kore live stream stuff. Kore Kore is so good. Oh my God. I don't know. Recently, I have no idea what's good. I can tell you about like stuff from 20 years ago. If you follow the pattern too much, you'll come off as mid. Trust me, I'm not following a pattern. What I learned, I didn't learn, hear me out. I didn't learn patterns. I learned elements that are required to be in a story, right? Like, for example, you need to have a beginning, a middle, and an end, right? A story has to have a beginning, a middle, and an end, right? Right? A story needs to have a character that's doing something. What are they doing? Nothing? No, there's a character doing a thing, right? There needs to be stakes, right? Someone's gonna die. You're gonna lose the love of your life. Your career is gonna be destroyed. You need something to propel a story forward. Like there's a story that I wrote called 5555. Okay, and I think there's like 60,000 words almost. I have to look. But I wrote this story, it was a long time ago, maybe 6-7 years ago, and it was really getting into it. So many things I loved about it, but man, could I not propel the story forward. It was such a weak premise, I couldn't propel it forward. I just, like 2 or 3 days ago, realized, oh my God, I could just do this. I tweaked the beginning of the book by adding the missing element of a so there's a grandfather in this story. It's like it was starting out as a children's book. So there's a grandfather and a boy, and the grandfather used to tell these fantastic stories to his grandson. His father's dead. He used to tell fantastic stories to his grandson. It turns out they were real, though, that the grandfather had a way to go to a special world, and these are stories from that world. And then he gives this method to the boy. I think his name was Hajime or Shinji. I kept changing the name. So Shinji. And Shinji has this box, and he's messing around with it, and somehow he ends up in that other world. And he's like, oh my God, it was real, right? But when he's there, he meets a creature, and this creature is this was the only motivation I had. My sister, I gotta find my sister. That was it. And so now they're going through this world, all this high stakes stuff for a sister. And I had great stuff in there, like great drama, but just to find the sister. Not like the sister was kidnapped, no one was threatening her life. It was just, oh, I gotta find my sister. It was dumb. And then I realized, oh, wait a minute. There's a character called the Bluffer, right? I renamed a character. I'll call him the Bluffer. And the grandfather had interacted with the Bluffer in that world. And he was told something about his life, and now it was actually true. It wasn't a bluff, right? If we don't get the whatever item, I'm gonna die, Shinji, but I can't go back into that world for whatever reason. I need you to go, Shinji. Now Shinji has a purpose. He's got to save his grandfather. He can't mess around. He's got to keep moving forward. Without that, I don't have a story. I literally abandoned that story because I could not figure out what was happening. You know, and I have another story that I was writing that is fantastic, that I freaking love. It's all written through the diaries of a young boy. It's over 10 or 12 years of his diaries. And I won't tell you any of the spoilers because eventually I'll figure out how to do it. But I couldn't figure out where it was going. I still don't know where it's going. I don't know what's propelling the story forward. I've built an amazing world. I have a mystery that's interesting to learn about. You're like, wait a minute, what's happening to this guy? He doesn't know. And because you're reading it through his sole perspective in his diary, you as the reader don't know. It's really mysterious. I know, but there's no third person narrative because it's all first person, right? So it's a great story. I really want to finish it, but at the peak where the boy figures out what's happening, I don't know what to do after that. There's no stakes at all in that story, right? That's what I mean by, you know, look, if you want to write a book, learn what elements need to be in a good story. You definitely need stakes, or why even tell the story? Like, imagine a person like, oh my God, dude. So yesterday, right? And then there's nothing after that. It's like, so, and then like, well, so yesterday, right? Oh, I went to IKEA, right? And while I was in line for the meatballs, another person got behind me. And then I got the meatballs and I ate, and it was delicious. Where's the beginning and the middle end of that story? There's like, and right? So, okay, so hear me out. I realized I didn't have my wallet. Oh, now we've got a problem. You need to have a problem that needs solving. I just added it to the story. I already had them put the meatballs on my plate. Okay. I didn't have my wallet. Now you've opened up a curiosity. Look, what did you do? You can't return the food. You're committed, right? And on top of it, I took the last meatballs that they had for the day, and I'd already ate one. I took, so I couldn't. I was so hungry. So now I've created an unrepairable problem, and I don't have my wallet, and my phone's in the car. So I don't, because Apple Pay, right? I'm solving these problems as I write this little story, right? And now, how do I solve that? Now I have to propel the character, me at IKEA getting meatballs, through the story, right? How? I don't know. I haven't written that story, but eventually I will. It's called George Buys Meatballs at IKEA, but doesn't have his wallet.com. Check it out there, my new novel. Excuse me. Like horror thriller for I like horror or thriller for the creativity of the plots. Anything could happen, so they can be very experimental. Kyle, breaking the rules is why entrepreneurs exist, and I'm glad George decided he wanted to write textbooks. Dan Harmon, yes. He popularized the story circle. Sand and dead dinosaurs. True. The cover does look cool, but Nicolas Cage did a lot of weird movies to make back his debt. Yes. For those of you who don't know, Nicolas Cage got involved in something that created a lot of debt for him. And so there was a period of time where he took any movie he could to pay off that debt. And those are mostly bad movies. Those two movies I mentioned were terrible. Monsters was the aliens in Mexico and the pervy guy trying to win the girl who was getting married, but they didn't know each other. Oh, yeah. Oh my God. Yes, I remember. Oh my God, that movie was so bad. Oh my God. And that was not a find at Goodwill. That wasn't a thrift store find. That was a movie I bought specifically and people said it was awesome. It was horrible. Monsters, I remember. Captain said, just found Kore. Find his clip channel too, okay? The clip channel's the one. Watch Predestination. It will change your mind about beginning, middle, and end. Violet, Predestination. Add it to our movie list, please. Pretty sure I have Predestination. It has Sarah Snook, who went on to be on Succession. I have Succession too, but I have not watched it. I heard it's really good. What time did you need in stream? What time did you need? Oh, 10:30. Oh, I gotta go, guys. Yeah, thank you. Look at you. 10:30. Yeah, I gotta hang up. I got a meeting in 12 minutes. A book cover meeting for Korean. The new covers for Korean from Zero. Go on Amazon and check out Japanese from Zero. All new covers. They all got new stock covers like the Spanish book. Not with city backgrounds, but new characters and a new logo. All of the characters have been reimagined by Silt. No AI. Silt did that logo and he did the characters. I'm not saying to end the stream. No, I have to. I do. I definitely have to end the stream. The Bible has crazy stakes. Haha. I've always been told I'm a good storyteller because I tell them like this. I told you about Predestination when we hang out. Yes, I've heard of Predestination. I just haven't watched it. Easy top 5 movies of all time. All right, that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. We should end with something. Now that we're on this channel, I won't feel guilty about doing this. Well, maybe we'll just do the Swahili song again from the Polyglot Thirst album. I feel like that's a good one. I've been meaning to hear it again. Let's see, where is it? There it is. Polyglot Thirst videos. All right, we'll end. This is the latest track. Still got to re-sing it. I'll probably do it when I haven't blown my voice out doing a live stream. It's called Feelies for Swahili. Give me a second. Let me set it up. Over here. Okay, here we go. All right, guys. I'll see you another.
I learned Japanese in the land of rice. I know Icelandic from the land of ice. I learned French in Guyana, Yoruba in Nigeria, Spanish in Mexico, Russian in Siberia. Let's go. I've had 1,000 1,000 exotic language explorations. All that was left was the Western African nations. There was Egypt, Sudan, Ethiopia, and Kenya. The choice was easy. I'm a man. I couldn't resist the beauties of Tanzania. Rangi ya ngozi haijalishi, lakini eneo linajalisha. Nimewahi kwenda mashariki, lakini sijawahi kwenda Afrika Magharibi. My Swahili was weak, my desire imara. Hired a teacher from Kigamboni, the center of Tanzania. Everything about her was chameleon. I was on my best tabia. I was her salt, she was my pepper. I lost control of my tamanania. My tamanania. Yeah, she was dedicated to my goals, an amazing teacher. Our hearts were meant to be together. Eventually, I'd have to reach her. We met morning, noon, and night. I was enchanted by her smile. I was living on cloud 9. Then I got interrupted by that motherfucker Kyle. Habari George, I'm amazed you came so far. Karibu. Are you with your family or did you leave them in Malibu? Oh yeah, that's right. You need women for motivation. Don't you know how to learn without female stimulation? Habari to you as well, Kyle. How do you know Swahili? You're quite the talker. How do you always find me? It seems like you're quite the stalker. We all learn different. Swahili's totemo hard. Please niache peke yangu. Go back to German. Please stop being such a hard. Mungu wangu. My Swahili was weak, my desire imara. Hired a teacher for Kigamboni, the center of Tanzania. I tell you, she was chameleon. I was on my best tabia. I was her salt, she was my pepper. I lost control of my tamanania. Woo, yeah. I was finally alone with my teacher named Tattoo. Something was wrong, she was crying. There was nothing I could do. Between the tears she spoke, saying, "You have a family? How could you? You're just like my two brothers. There's no way for us. I'm through with you." The love spell was broken, but so was my tattoo's heart. She was just a token of my plan. My only choice was to depart. I felt so bad again, I let my heart get in the way. I got one thing to say to you, Tattoo. Samahani sana, tafadhali nisamehe. My Swahili was strong, now my morals were weak. I need to stop this vicious circle. I need to turn over a new leaf. I hurt the beautiful girl with my desire to learn. I hope one day Tattoo will forgive me on the day when I return. On the day when I return. When I return. When I return. 5 years ago I thought Koreans were the best.
너무 예쁘네.
5 years before that, Japanese girls passed my test.
가와이.
But now the great land of China is where I stand, where I stand. And Chinese girls are so hot, I need a foldable fan. I 我喜欢亚洲女孩，所以我开始学会亚洲的语言。我这其实是日本人，可是我天生真想中国的女人，因为这是大的问题，麻烦的。我要这流汗，他们刚度我。我的中文还不够，可是我已经真爱上我女人。比韩国女人漂亮，比日本女人可爱，因为我太喜 喜欢中我女人，我得学习中文刚多。Chinese girls are hotter than a dragon blowing fire, cuter than a button, fueling all my Asian desires. The girls in Guangdong speak Cantonese, whispering love into my ear while eating snakes, filling all my needs. The girls in Yunnan speak Mandarin, lying about their husbands while filling pools for me to swim. My Chinese sickness was diagnosed intense yellow fever. After a month in Beijing, how could I not be a believer? Chinese girls are so raw and so real. After Japan and Korea, it's really surreal. Yo, George, I thought you loved Koreans, and before that, Japanese. Oh, hey, Kyle. How'd you begin? My heart wants what my heart needs. Now do me a favor and shut your mouth, please. But you're still married, right? And you've got tons of Korean friends. Why do you need Chinese girls now? Are they just a means to your end? My Japanese wife. Yeah, I love her, man. Of course I do. Now go back to jumping on your trampoline. Her TikTok views. 我的中文还不够，可是我已经见了中国女人，比韩国女人漂亮，比日本女人可爱，因为我太喜欢中国女人，我得学习中文更多。You're not even worthy enough to carry my Japanese wife's shoes. My Korean friends, they're all chinchayepo. I see them every time I tochak in Gimpo. People like you don't know how to dream. Don't you know Chirimoto More by Yamato Naru is my theme. Specks of dust, when piled up, become a mountain. Have you even tried drinking from the Asian girl water fountain? Anyways, I've got to go. Things are moving so fast. Japan, Korea, and China are now firmly in my past. I got a feeling Vietnamese girls are gonna be the next big blast. Xin chào, tôi là người Mỹ. Xin hãy dạy tôi Quang ngữ và ba. 我得学习中文更多。